Hearing that Yi Qingtang was willing to head to Heaven City, the Baiming Manor chief snickered secretly. The powerful figure presiding over Heaven City had strong relations with him. Once Yi Qingtang reached Heaven City, she would have to listen to his commands, and by then, they just needed to let this lady die in the hands of the ancient Yu clan people. All right. The ancient clan master stood up and looked at Peerless School Sect Master. You will be responsible for bringing Miss Yi to Heaven City. Noted. Peerless School Sect Master agreed and immediately led Yi Qingtang out without any delay. After leaving the main hall, the Peerless School Sect Master looked at Yi Qingtang and asked meaningfully, Miss Yi, there is some conflict between you and Baiming Manor, right? Yi Qingtang did not deny it. Back then, Baiming Manor's young lords chased after her to take her life, but one of them was killed by her instead. It was indeed considered that there were some conflicts between her and Baiming Manor then. Miss Yi, the commander guarding Heaven City, has a deep relationship with Baiming Manor chief. You should be careful, Peerless School Sect Master said. Peerless School was very clear of Baiming Manor chief's way of seeking revenge regardless of the consequences. However, in this special period of time, Peerless School Sect Master did not wish to see the people of this mainland killing each other. Thus, he reminded Yi Qingtang. Thank you for your reminder. I understand. Yi Qingtang nodded. Half a day later, Yi Qingtang arrived outside a huge city with the Peerless School Sect Master showing the way. Ahead of them was Heaven City. The surrounding city walls towered into the clouds, and the terrain was extremely steep, making the city appear to be easy to guard and difficult to attack. Even though the current combat power of the powerful figures in Heaven City was insufficient, it was tough for the ancient Yu clan to forcefully conquer Heaven City as well. Very quickly, Yi Qingtang and the Peerless School Sect Master were led into the city after revealing their identity. Ha, Peerless School Sect Master, it's been long. In no time, a middle-aged man walked over with great strides to welcome them. Long time no see, Brother Guyu. Peerless School Sect Master looked at the middle-aged man and smiled. This is Miss Yi, Yi Qingtang, one of the young lords of our mainland. She is here to aid Heaven City. A cold glint flashed across Guyu's eyes discreetly, though the smile remained on his face. Miss Yi, I know you. The eldest young lady of Yi family and the young valley master of Falling Sky Valley. A legendary figure of the mainland. Knowing a man by reputation is truly not as good as meeting him face to face. You have overpraised me. Yi Qingtang replied politely. Miss Yi, this is Brother Guyu, the overall commander of Heaven City. He is from the ancient clan and is also a young lord, Peerless School Sect Master said. Nice to meet you. Yi Qingtang nodded. It is the best that Miss Yi can come to Heaven City to assist us. The three talents of the ancient Yu clan are guarding outside the city, and the youngest young lord of the ancient clan, Mo Feng, lost his life in the battle 3 days ago. This is a huge blow to Heaven City. If not for the steep terrain of Heaven City which makes it hard to attack, it would probably have fallen already. Guyu sighed and shook his head. Please follow me. Then, Guyu led Peerless School Sect Master and Yi Qingtang toward the towering city walls. After arriving at the top of the city walls, the high position allowed one to take in the entire situation in the vicinity with the naked eye. Furthermore, there was an ancient array formation deep in the ground of Heaven City. Any powerful figure who was in close proximity to Heaven City would be unable to fly in the air. This was also one of the greatest resources of Heaven City they could rely on. Please take a look. A while later, Guyu raised his hand and pointed afar. Yi Qingtang and Peerless School Sect Master immediately looked in the direction that Guyu pointed at, and what lay before their eyes was a temporary camp. Brother Guyu, is that you ancient clan's camp? Peerless School Sect Master had a solemn expression after looking at it. Guyu nodded and said, that's right, it is the Yu ancient clan's camp. They are fully prepared. Every noon, they trap us within the city and besiege the city. A few powerful figures within the city could not take this lying down and went out to counter them. In the end, there were many deaths and injuries, and even Mo Feng lost his life. Guyu sighed softly as helplessness overwhelmed him. There are many ordinary citizens in Heaven City and we are unable to replenish the food supplies and water after being trapped in the city. The stock supplies are already running out now. Guyu shook his head. Young lords like Yi Qingtang and the peerless school sect master could enter the city, and Yu ancient clan would not care nor stop them. However, if they were delivering water and rations, the Yu ancient clan would definitely kill the transporter. Yu ancient clan's invasion strategy in Heaven City was extremely obvious. There was an array formation beneath Heaven City which made flying impossible, and the city walls were too high to be broken through forcefully. However, as long as the water and ration supplies to Heaven City were broken, the Yu ancient clan could achieve victory without fighting in no time. Miss Yi, do you have any good ways to overcome the Yu ancient clan strategy? Guyu suddenly looked at Yi Qingtang and asked. None at the moment. Yi Qingtang replied honestly. Before Guyu could continue speaking, Peerless School Sect Master said, I cannot leave Sky Eagle City for too long and need to rush back now. Alright. Be careful on your way. Guyu nodded. After Peerless School Sect Master left, Yi Qingtang looked at the situation at the bottom from the top of the city walls and frowned. Just as she had thought earlier, Heaven City's situation was bleak. However, it was fortunate that the terrains were steep, so the Yu ancient clan could not do anything in a short while. With Yi Qingtang's arrival, Guyu summoned 1,000 powerful figures to the top of the city walls. With Guyu included, the entire Heaven City had 3 Yang Lords left currently, and the remaining people were at Yin Yang Perfected Lord 4th Heaven to 6th Heaven. 2 of the Yang Lords were heavily wounded from the battle with the Yu ancient clan talents. The remaining powerful figures had a lukewarm attitude to Yi Qingtang. They originally thought that the ancient clan master would send some Yang Lords at the peak of Yin Yang Perfected Lord 8th Heaven, but they merely sent one person, and her cultivation base was only at the mid-stage of Yang Lord 8th Heaven though she was young. What was the use of sending her then? Even the youngest Yang Lord talent of the ancient clan, Mo Feng, died outside the city. Without sending more Yang Lords at the peak, it was impossible to resolve this problem. Yi Qingtang was, however, not bothered by their lukewarm attitude, and she could even understand how they feel. If it was her, she might not be anywhere better than them either. However, the mainland party was already in a disadvantageous position in the south battlefield due to the insufficient number of powerful figures. Otherwise, the Peerless School Sect Master would not head to Falling Sky Valley to look for her. Miss Yi, why don't you go back to rest first? You can think of the countermeasure after recuperating and restoring your energy. Guyu suggested with a smile. However, before Yi Qingtang could reply, a group of Yu ancient clan people appeared at the bottom of the city walls. There was a crowd at the foot of the city walls. Many Yu ancient clan war flags waved in a clamorous fashion. Guyu and the other powerful figures in Heaven City frowned at the sight. The incomers were the Yu ancient clan forces, and there was a continuous influx of powerful figures from the camp afar. With a command from Guyu, thousands of archers rushed to all sides of the city walls and aimed their arrows at the Yu ancient clan masses beneath. Although Heaven City lost several times and sustained heavy injuries, it enjoyed a natural advantage. The ancient array formation in the ground prevented others from flying, and the city walls were reinforced through a unique technique, which made the city impregnable. Even though there were many powerful figures from the Yu ancient clan, they had to pay a price if they wished to forcefully invade the city. As such, the Yu ancient clan did not choose that option and instead surrounded Heaven City. Even if Heaven City did not accept the war, it was still a slow death. The Yu ancient clan is going too far, some Heaven City figures shouted furiously. Don't act rashly, Guyu looked at them and said. But it is not a solution to go on like this. By then, Heaven City will also be defeated. A heavily injured elderly sighed. If the headquarters could send more powerful figures over, we would not be so passive. The headquarters should know about Heaven City's situation. Do they not care about our lives? Ah, we are not abandoned, are we? Many powerful figures in Heaven City commented successively. Where is the main city this troop is based on? Yi Qingtang asked out of a sudden. It's the Dragon Elephant City 300 miles away. Gu Yu replied. Yi Qingtang nodded lightly. To completely resolve Heaven City's crisis, the only way was to do something in Dragon Elephant City. Heaven City people, are you all still not going to accept the battle today? At this instant, an elderly slowly walked out of a gold carriage among the Yu ancient clan masses. His cold gaze landed on the top of the city walls as he asked. Nonetheless, there was no reply. Miss Yi, you just reached Heaven City and are probably not familiar with this Yu ancient clan troop. That elderly who walked down from the gold carriage is Dragon Elephant City's commander. Gu Yu looked at Yi Qingtang and said. Yi Qingtang nodded. The elderly's skills were exceptional, and he should be a senior executive of the Yu ancient clan. What is the purpose of guarding Heaven City? When the resources are depleted and we invade the city, you all will just be meat on a chopping board for us to butcher. The Yu ancient clan elderly chuckled. Everyone in Heaven City knew this logic without his reminder, but if they left the city to fight, if we fight, we will die. If we don't fight, we will also die. Why not just fight it out with them? A wounded young lord elderly shouted coldly as his eyes glistened. Out of the 10 insane talents of the Yu ancient clan, 3 of them are here. Even Mo Feng was killed by them. Once we leave the city to accept the battle, the consequences will be unbearable, Gu Yu said with a frown. Commander, you're in charge of Heaven City. What do you think we should do? One of the powerful figures looked at Gu Yu and asked. The geography of this place is to our advantage. There's no need to risk our lives to fight it out with the Yu ancient clan. Let's wait a while more. The headquarters will definitely deploy powerful figures here. Gu Yu said. How long more must we wait? There are millions of people in Heaven City and millions of mouths to feed. The stored rations are simply insufficient to last them a few days. With the Yu ancient clan guarding this place, the rations team cannot enter. Even if there are powerful figures who can avoid the Yu ancient clan spies, how many supplies can they bring with just a space ring? How would it be enough for millions of people? Chapter 1176, Heaven City, 4, I have an idea, but, the young man said. What idea is it? Do tell us. We do not have a rations team and are trapped by the Yu ancient clan. The stored supplies in the city are already insufficient, and if this goes on, the citizens and even we will eventually run out of supplies. Instead of that, why not we take care of ourselves first? If the stored food and water in the city are not distributed to others, it is enough for our use. By then, since the Yu ancient clan likes to besiege the city, just let them be then. We will not die from hunger or thirst anyway, the young man said. Everyone was taken aback by what that young man said. I think it's feasible. Gu Yu nodded his head, he had this thought a long time ago. No. That injured young lord elderly resisted with a frown. What is this? Those archers and the cultivators we recruited to counter the Yu ancient clan are all from Heaven City. Their families and loved ones are all in the city. Are we abandoning millions of lives just to exchange for peace of mind on our food supplies? This is in consideration of the overall situation. If we cannot ensure sufficient food supply, the south battlefield will fall once again. Gu Yu defended. Miss Yi, what do you think? Gu Yu looked at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang spoke after remaining silent for a while. I think that the root problem is not the food supplies but the difference in combat capabilities. Even if we leave the remaining resources in Heaven City for ourselves, it is also futile. To solve the root problem, they had to strike Dragon Elephant City. Currently, The south battlefield was too passive, and should this go on for long, they would not be far from being completely conquered by the Yu ancient clan. Everyone, how about this? We will only send one person out today. If you all can win, we will retreat. What do you think? The Yu ancient clan elderly said with a laugh. After thinking for a long time, Yu said to that Yu ancient clan elderly, "Do you mean what you say?" That Yu ancient clan elderly laughed indifferently. Of course. We, the Yu ancient clan, will not go back on our words. Good. Since you all are so confident, let's give it a try today. Yu snickered. The Yu ancient clan elderly shot a look at a green-robed man beside him. The green-robed man immediately took a step forward at the drumming of the Yu ancient clan war drums. Yu Tianhe from Yu ancient clan. Who is coming forward to enlighten me? Yu Tianhe looked across the masses at the top of the city walls plainly. The heavenly city figures looked at each other. Yu Tianhe was one of the 10 young talents of Yu ancient clan, and even the youngest young lord of the ancient clan, Mo Feng, only had a draw with him. Humph. Arrogant. The injured elderly sneered. Let me meet you. Then, the injured elderly was about to leave the city to accept the battle. Wait. Suddenly, Yu walked forward and stopped the injured elderly. Miss Yi was sent by the headquarters. I wish to let Miss Yi accept this battle and let her familiarize herself with the Yu ancient clan as soon as possible. If Miss Yi is defeated, it's not too late for you to step in. The injured elderly looked at Yi Qingtang and said with a frown, Miss Yi is still too young. Although her martial realm is powerful, she does not have enough foundations. Furthermore, Miss Yi does not know anything about Yu Tianhe, but we have fought many times. Even if I cannot defeat him, I can still flee back. Currently, every young lord in Heaven City was extremely precious, and nothing must go wrong. Chapter 1178, Heaven City, 6, Haha, good. Miss Yi is indeed as courageous as a man. I wish you a victory in your first battle. Yu nodded and said. Immediately, Yi Qingtang leaped down from the city walls and landed on the ground. Seeing that it was a young lady, the Yu ancient clan lady snickered. Why? Does the south battlefield not have anyone already? You all actually sent a little lady here to accept the battle. Yu shouted coldly from the top of the city walls. I think you all are the joke. Miss Yi is a powerful figure sent by the headquarters. She is already a young lord at a young age. Today will definitely be the day you die. Upon hearing that, the Yu ancient clan elderly snickered and signaled a finger at the man beside him. Tianhe, kill this so-called young powerful figure sent by the headquarters. With the order, the green-robed man walked forward expressionlessly. The Yu ancient clan army immediately retreated to make space for a large battlefield for Yi Qingtang and Yu Tianhe. Miss Yi, we believe that you will definitely be able to behead this Yu Tianhe given your skills. Yu's voice traveled down very quickly. Yi Qingtang sized up Yu discreetly. It seemed that this overall commander of Heaven City really wanted her to die in the hands of Yu Tianhe. On the account that you're a lady and that you're so young, I'll spare you 3 moves. After 3 moves, I will chop your head down. Yu Tianhe stared at Yi Qingtang and said coldly. Spare me 3 moves, Yi Qingtang sized up Yu Tianhe meaningfully. That's generous of you. I will not refuse it if that's the case. The Yu ancient clan's arrogance was what Yi Qingtang wished to see. This was a battlefield, and if her enemy wanted to spare her 3 moves, it was impossible for Yi Qingtang to reject it. Suddenly, without any warning, Yi Qingtang turned into a white shadow at an extremely high speed that even the Yu ancient clan elderly afar could not help but be stunned. That lattice speed and movement were truly exceptional. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, Yi Qingtang was already in front of Yu Tianhe. A glint flashed across her eyes immediately, and she rammed a fist at Yu Tianhe. Yu Tian's eyes widened after sensing the force in Yi Qingtang's punch, and he raised his hand to block it instinctively. Boom boom. A thunderous roar reverberated throughout the place. Under everyone's shocked watch, Yu Tianhe trembled intensely and staggered more than 10 steps backward. It was only when he planted his feet on the ground did he finally diffuse the force from Yi Qingtang's punch and stabilize himself. He fought back. The scene shocked all the archers and powerful figures at the top of the city walls. Yi Qingtang's cold gaze landed on Yu Tianhe, who was a few meters away from her, and she said indifferently, "The Yu ancient clan never goes back on their words. I believe everyone heard you promise that you would spare me 3 moves, but you fought back at the first move. That is disappointing." Yu Tian's eyes turned golden. This lady was much more powerful than that young Mo Feng from that day. If he did not retaliate the force from that punch just now, the consequences would have been dire. "Tianhe, kill her!" The Yu ancient clan elderly shouted furiously. As the elderly spoke finish, an astonishing sword intent emerged around Yu Tian's body. The supposed sword intent was willpower cultivated by powerful figures of the sword Dao. As long as this willpower was sufficiently powerful, it could annihilate anyone with just the slash of a sword. Chapter 1179, Victory. Sensing the force of the sword intent radiating out from Yu Tianhe, Yi Qingtang's mind, qi, and spirit escalated to the peak instantly. Yi Qingtang was not under too much pressure to face these young powerful figures of Yu ancient clan, and there should be no issue as long as she fought carefully. At this instant, Yu Tianhe gripped the sword handle at his waist, and his eyes were cold. The power of the sword intent intensified. Strong winds raked up in the surroundings and kicked up dust everywhere, resembling the arrival of a natural disaster that struck terror in one's heart. The masses at the top of the city walls of Heaven City frowned deeply, and many were worried for Yi Qingtang. Even the youngest ancient clan young lord, Mo Feng, almost could not resist the force of Yu Tian's sword intent, which seemed to be much more powerful and frightening than that time. Yi Qingtang did not dare to be careless in the face of such a powerful sword intent willpower. "You may die from this blow." Yu Tianhe looked at Yi Qingtang expressionlessly and said. Yi Qingtang scoffed. "I look forward to it." As Yi Qingtang finished her sentence, Yu Tianhe raised his right shoulder, and a slashing sound pierced the air. In a flash, a terrifying sword gleam seemed to befall from the heavens and aimed towards Yi Qingtang. This sword intent was extremely horrifying and was loaded with an inexplicable destructive force. Many powerful figures at the top of the city walls were stunned. The force of this sword intent was a large upgrade when compared to before. The corner of Gu Ye's lips tugged up slightly into an undetectable sneer. He had 2 motives for sending Yi Qingtang to accept the battle. One was to deplete Yu Tian's combat capability, as his combat capability would diminish greatly for a short period of time after using the sword intent. The second was to let Yi Qingtang die on the battlefield to help the Baiming Manor chief vent his anger. A mere young Lord 8th Heaven cultivator was not indispensable to Heaven City. Gu Ye's smile deepened as he watched a streak of sword intent slash out. He was extremely clear of Yu Tian's combat capability, and Yi Qingtang would definitely be unable to block his full-blown sword intent attack no matter what she did. Nevertheless, almost instantly, Gu Ye's smile froze on his face utterly. Yi Qingtang actually turned into a pitch-black flame before everyone's eyes. The force of the flame surged into the sky as though it was the very first spark of flame since the dawn of history. Under everyone's shocked gaze, the black flame crashed into Yu Tian's sword intent violently. At that moment, the sound of explosions rang incessantly. It was as though the sky had shattered and the end of the world had arrived. The searing heat waves produced from the harsh crash of the sword intent and the flame flooded the surroundings. Some less skilled Yu ancient clan figures who were nearby were instantly swept hundreds of meters away by the impact. In the next second, Yu Tian's face paled, and blood seeped out from the corner of his lips as he staggered backward continuously. Once the force of the sword intent completely dispersed, the black flame condensed rapidly, and Yi Qingtang appeared before everyone again. Good fight, Yi Qingtang said coldly as she looked at Yu Tianhe. Yu Tianhe was silent for some time before finally speaking. I lost. Chapter 1180, Defend, 1, Lost. The ancient Yu clan elderly was astonished that Yu Tianhe actually lost to a lady. After a temporary silence, the people in Heaven City cheered excitedly. This was the second time Heaven City defeated ancient Yu clan since it was surrounded. Miss Yi is indeed amazing. Look. I said that the headquarters would not abandon Heaven City, but some of you still belittled Miss Yi just now, ha ha ha. Nice. Look at the ancient Yu clan people's expression. They must have never thought that Yu Tianhe would be defeated. Yi Qingtang subsequently looked up at ancient Yu clan elderly and said, You all said that as long as someone from Heaven City can win, you will automatically retreat. I wonder if the ancient Yu clan will go back on their words for the second time. A cold glint flashed across the ancient Yu clan elderly's eyes after he heard what Yi Qingtang said, and he sized up Yi Qingtang a few more times. Ultimately, he scoffed and led the ancient Yu clan masses away. A flurry of cheers erupted in Heaven City. After the ancient Yu clan masses left completely, the gates of Heaven City opened, and Yi Qingtang entered the city. Miss Yi is indeed extraordinary. It seems that my decision this time is right. Guyu looked at Yi Qingtang and forced a laugh. Yi Qingtang sized up Guyu several times without saying anything. Miss Yi is tired from the long journey and even fought the ancient Yu clan. She worked hard and attained great merits. I will host a banquet for Miss Yi tonight, said Guyu. There's no need for a banquet. Heaven City is short of rations right now. Save whatever we can, Yi Qingtang said. Ha! It really isn't easy for Miss Yi to be able to consider these at such a young age. Alright, since that's the case, Miss Yi may rest first. I have already arranged a resting place for Miss Yi, Guyu said. Yi Qingtang did not refuse and followed them to a small pavilion at a rather secluded corner. Miss Yi. At this instant, Ling Yan's voice traveled into Yi Qingtang's ears. Yi Qingtang immediately took out her voice transmission stone. I thought you died. Ling Yan chuckled lightly. How will I dare to die when I haven't managed to see Miss Yi again? Yi Qingtang frowned slightly. Can't Ling Yan talk properly? Yi Qingtang could vaguely hear that Ling Yan's side was a little noisy. Yi Qingtang asked instinctively, Where are you? In a prison, replied Ling Yan. Yi Qingtang was stunned. Prison? After they parted the other time, Ling Yan returned to central mainland safely. Why was he in prison now? Yes. There was a hint of laughter in Ling Yan's voice, and he completely did not seem like he was imprisoned. I am the Eternal Dynasty's third prince. My father has aged, and there is a fight for the throne now. I believe Miss Yi knows some things about this too. Yi Qingtang was shocked after hearing what Ling Yan said. You lost the fight. That's not the case, Ling Yan said. I've never had any interest in being the emperor of a dynasty. However, one of my brothers and sister viewed me as a threat. Thus, they joined forces and sent me to prison. I wish to get some silence, and it's also perfect for me now that I can chat with you. Yi Qingtang stared blankly at the voice transmission stone. In this world, perhaps only Ling Yan would stay in a prison to find peace. It was amazing how he could still be this calm at this moment. Chapter 1181, Defend, 2, However, I am looking for you for something. Before Yi Qingtang spoke, Ling Yan's tone changed, and there was a rare seriousness in his tone. Miss Yi, listen to me seriously right now, I'm listening. Do you want me to save you? Yi Qingtang responded. There's no need to save me but... Miss Yi, I wish for you to leave the mainland that you are in right now and head to the Eternal Dynasty immediately, Ling Yan said. Now. Go to the Eternal Dynasty. Yi Qingtang was slightly dumbfounded. Why did Ling Yan's words make her increasingly confused? 1 second ago, he said there was no need to rescue him, but in the next, he wanted her to head to the Eternal Dynasty immediately. Was this not requiring any rescue? Although Yi Qingtang complained in her heart, worry crept into her heart unknowingly. After we chase the ancient Yu clan away, I will go look for you in the Eternal Dynasty. You are not in any danger right now, are you? Yi Qingtang questioned carefully. Ling Yan was Eternal Dynasty's third prince after all, and the next emperor was not set yet. The old emperor had not died, and the eldest prince and princess probably still did not dare to kill Ling Yan. Given Ling Yan's intellect, Yi Qingtang believed that it would be an easy feat for Ling Yan if he wished to leave the prison, and he must have his own objectives for staying in the prison. Miss Yi, you may be mistaken. What I mean is for you to leave the mainland that you are in immediately. Immediately? Yi Qingtang's brows furrowed slightly. The mainland's crisis was not resolved yet, and ancient Yu clan had a powerful army. How could she leave now? Why was Ling Yan so urgent for her to leave? Miss Yi. I know you are confused, but if you believe me, you must follow what I say, Ling Yan said again. I naturally believe you, but I want to know why, Yi Qingtang said. She trusted Ling Yan, but how could she easily abandon everything and leave when they were in a fierce war now? This time, Ling Yan did not reply to Yi Qingtang immediately. There was a silence on the other side of the voice transmission stone. A long time later, Ling Yan's voice finally traveled out from the voice transmission stone. Because you will die. Yi Qingtang was dumbfounded by what Ling Yan said. She would die. Yi Qingtang did not have any suspicions about what Ling Yan said. Ling Yan possessed the karma bloodline and had the power of karma. If Ling Yan calculated that she would die with the power of karma, then she would definitely die. Does my death have any value to this mainland? Yi Qingtang remained silent for a while and suddenly asked. If you leave, the mainland that you are in will probably be annihilated, and the ancient Yu clan would become even more powerful. If you don't leave, this mainland may be saved. But the price is that you will die. Ling Yan's voice traveled from the voice transmission stone. It is also to say that, my death will win a chance of survival for this mainland, right? Yi Qingtang was calm as though she did not hear the prediction that she would die. It should be so. The power of karma can only predict these at this stage. Ling Yan replied. Yi Qingtang looked down slightly. Familiar faces flashed by in her mind. It was easy for her to leave this mainland, but what would happen to Little Yu Yun, Yi family, Si family, Xianling sect, and Falling Sky Valley? Perhaps, Yi Qingtang could avoid the Yu ancient clan's watch if she left alone discreetly, but it was almost unrealistic if Yi Qingtang wished to bring everyone with her. Alright, since everyone is here, let's discuss how to counter the ancient Yu clan's attack on Heaven City today. Guyu swept a glance across everyone and said. Upon hearing that, many powerful figures looked at each other and had nothing to say for a moment. How would they know how to tackle the ancient Yu clan's strategy of surrounding the city? Miss Yi, do you have any good ideas? Gu Ye's eyes landed on Yi Qingtang when he saw that everyone was silent. Senior Gu Yu is the overall general. Our opinions and ideas are not important. Since you assembled us together to discuss the matter, I believe you should have thought of a sound plan, Yi Qingtang said without hesitation. Chapter 1183, Attack, 1, with a light chuckle, Gu Yu nodded and said, Miss Yi is right. I do have some solutions in mind. Brother Gu Yu, what solutions do you have? The injured elderly asked hurriedly. Everyone, although Heaven City's steep terrains make it easy to defend and hard to attack, it will definitely be invaded in no time if we remain trapped. Everything is only a matter of time, Guyu said. There was a flurry of discussions after Guyu spoke. Everyone was also aware of what Guyu said, but there were no good solutions. So, we have to attack Dragon Elephant City to solve the root problem. Dragon Elephant City is the main city of their team. If we can make an issue in Dragon Elephant City, the pressing emergency will automatically be resolved, Guyu said with a smile. Make an issue in Dragon Elephant City? Everyone was surprised to hear that. Dragon Elephant City was the headquarters of the troop of the ancient Yu clan army surrounding Heaven City. Wasn't whoever daring to head to Dragon Elephant City courting death? If we can set a fire in Dragon Elephant City, and burn the rations for this ancient Yu clan troop, they will definitely rush back to Dragon Elephant City. By then, rations can be transported from the headquarters into the city, Guyu smiled. What Brother Guyu said is indeed an excellent idea. As long as we can make this troop that encircled Heaven City believe that their headquarters in Dragon Elephant City is attacked, they will rush back immediately. One of the young powerful figures nodded repeatedly. Brother Guyu, although the idea is pretty good, the price we have to pay is too great. At least several young lords will have to head to Dragon Elephant City to make it seem that Dragon Elephant City is attacked. However, those young lords would probably lose their lives in Dragon Elephant City then, the injured elderly commented with a frown. There's no need, Guyu shook his head and said. We only need to send one young lord and dozens of ordinary soldiers. Do you have anyone in mind then, Brother Guyu? A powerful figure looked at Guyu and asked. This young lord who headed to Dragon Elephant City was highly likely to die, and no one was willing to seek death. The mission to head to Dragon Elephant City was no different from offering one's life. Brother Guyu, do you have any candidates in mind? The injured elderly asked. Yes, I already do. Guyu nodded, and his gaze subsequently landed on Yiqingtang. Noticing the situation, someone asked, Brother Guyu, are you planning to let Miss Yi head to Dragon Elephant City? Yes. Guyu nodded and said, everyone has witnessed Miss Yi's skills today. If anyone else headed to Dragon Elephant City, they might not return, but if Miss Yi went instead, there should not be too great of a problem. The powerful figures in the hall appeared rather surprised to hear that. Chapter 1184, Attack, 2, Miss Yi, do you have any problems? Seeing that no one had any opinions, Guyu nodded in satisfaction and looked toward Yiqingtang. No. Yiqingtang replied. Guyu was slightly shocked to hear Yiqingtang. He originally thought that Yiqingtang would not be willing to head to Dragon Elephant City, and he would have to spend time to persuade her or even use his identity as the overall general in the end. Nonetheless, what Guyu did not expect was that Yiqingtang agreed so straightforwardly. Good. Miss Yi is indeed extraordinary. This mission is extremely tough. Miss Yi needs to disguise herself as a troop to attack Dragon Elephant City, and the ancient Yu clan masses encircling Heaven City will definitely return. By then, Miss Yi just needs to retreat, and the mission will be completed, Guyu said with a smile. Saying it was more than easy, but who could retreat safely when being surrounded by the ancient Yu clan powerful figures? I will do my best, Yiqingtang looked at Guyu and said. Miss Yi can select any 100 soldiers from Heaven City as long as they are not young lords. Guyu added on. There's no need. I am fine alone. Yiqingtang refused. Yiqingtang's refusal to bring anyone else aligned with Guyu's intention. Alright. You can make some preparations and set off tonight then. After the meeting ended, Yiqingtang turned and left the hall. Late at night, Yiqingtang left Heaven City and turned into a bolt of light, darting towards Dragon Elephant City. When she was 5 kilometers away from Dragon Elephant City, she stopped. Come out, Yiqingtang said softly. In the next second, the masses who were supposed to be in Falling Sky Valley, however, walked out from the dark, with the Blood Moon Elder's enormous body being the most eye-catching. The root problem of Heaven City was the insufficient number of powerful figures. As such, Yu Qingtang had already notified the people in Falling Sky Valley to head to Heaven City to defend it. However, Gu made Yu Qingtang pretend to attack Dragon Elephant City today, and as such, she might as well lead the Falling Sky Valley army to completely conquer Dragon Elephant City. Mo. The little Luo Shui ran out from the crowd and hugged Yu Qingtang's calf immediately. Yu Qingtang grinned and hugged little Luo Shui and little Yu Yun in her arms. Falling Sky Valley was no longer safe. The ancient Yu clan wanted to obtain the full power of the spiritual abode and thus had to obtain little Yu Yun first. Hence, Yu Qingtang would not let them remain in Falling Sky Valley, and staying by her side was the safest way. Eldest young lady, we received your letter today and did not head to Heaven City but waited here instead as per your orders. Daoist Zijin walked forward and told Yu Qingtang. Good. With a brief nod, Yu Qingtang said, let's attack and capture Dragon Elephant City together. Yes. Everyone nodded successively and shouted. The group of powerful figures traveled in the air and flew towards Dragon Elephant City. In no time, Yu Qingtang and the rest arrived in Dragon Elephant City. Many powerful figures in Dragon Elephant City were sent to besiege Heaven City, and there were not many powerful figures in Dragon Elephant City currently. Thus, capturing the city did not require great effort for Yu Qingtang. Kill! At this instant, Elder Bai Kuei shouted furiously and took the lead to charge into Dragon Elephant City. Dozens of young lords, including Blood Moon Elder's combat abilities, made them an immensely powerful army. The people in the city cheered boisterously upon noticing the situation. After ascertaining that this Yu ancient clan troop left completely, Yu Qingtang headed to the hall of the main city. The Yu ancient clan left plenty of resources behind in Dragon Elephant City. Apart from large quantities of food and water, there were still many treasures stored. Elder Bai Kuei exclaimed in a secret chamber of the main hall, and he subsequently walked toward Yu Qingtang with a jet black gourd in his hands. Eldest young lady, look at this. Elder Bai Kuei walked forward and handed the jet black gourd to Yu Qingtang. Heaven Soul Gourd. Yu Qingtang took the black gourd over and was surprised after inspecting it for a while. Heaven Soul Gourd was one of the ultimate Dharma treasures of this mainland. It could gather the power of souls and had been lost for a long time. No one expected that it was actually obtained by the Yu ancient clan and was placed in Dragon Elephant City. Chapter 1186, Look at the Big Picture, 1, Haha. Eldest young lady, this ancient Yu clan troop left many Dharma treasures in Dragon Elephant City, and this Heaven Soul Gourd is only one of them. Many black-grade spirit weapons can only be used by people in the Yin-Yang perfected Lord realm. These spirit weapons are numerous, and a portion of them should be once stolen by the ancient Yu clan from this mainland. Elder Bai Kuei looked at Yu Qingtang and said. Upon hearing that, Yu Qingtang nodded slightly and said, distribute all the black-grade weapons and Dharma treasures and dispatch some scouts to gain intel on that ancient Yu clan troop. Yes. Elder Bai Kuei turned around and left. Qingtang. Just as Elder Bai Kuei left, Valley Master Xianchen and Daoist Zijin rushed over to the hall hurriedly. Eldest young lady, that team indeed attacked Heaven City by force. Daoist Zijin looked at Yu Qingtang and informed her quickly. Oh, Yu Qingtang was in thought after hearing Daoist Zijin. Her guess was indeed right. What is the outcome of the battle? Yu Qingtang asked. It is still unclear as of now. Perfected Xianchen paused for a while before continuing. However, Heaven City is easy to defend and hard to attack. Although there are not many powerful figures in the city, it has many natural advantages. If that ancient Yu clan attacks Heaven City by force, it can conquer it, but they will have to pay a large price too. After knowing that the ancient Yu clan troop began to attack Heaven City by force, Yu Qingtang, however, ordered everyone to rest in Dragon Elephant City. In Heaven City, a faint light shot into the sky. Screams and roars filled the air. Many powerful figures arrived at the top of the city walls. With Gu Ye's orders, thousands of archers released arrows at the numerous ancient Yu clan masses at the bottom at the same time. Why is ancient Yu clan attacking Heaven City by force? A flustered young powerful figure asked. It's that Yi Qingtang, an old elderly, gritted his teeth and said, that lady used some means and actually conquered Dragon Elephant City, and even refused to return the city. The ancient Yu clan lost their headquarters and thus displaced their anger on us. Otherwise, they would never attack Heaven City by force. Humph. Gu Yu sneered coldly. Send an envoy to Dragon Elephant City immediately and tell Yi Qingtang to return the city. I'll go, said a certain young powerful figure. In Dragon Elephant City, a Yi family disciple entered the main hall briskly and cupped his fists at Yi Qingtang. Eldest young lady, a Heaven City envoy requests for an audience. Yi Qingtang was indifferent and spoke a moment later. Bring him in. Soon, the Yi family disciple led a young powerful figure from Heaven City into the main hall. Yi Qingtang had some memory of this young powerful figure. Miss Yi, you stirred up huge trouble this time. The young powerful figure wore an exasperated expression as he walked into the main hall. With the flick of her sleeves, Yi Qingtang turned to look at the young powerful figure and asked coldly, "Oh? What do you mean by that?" The young powerful figure snorted. General only wanted you to create a false image of Dragon Elephant City being attacked so that the rations from the headquarters can enter Heaven City successfully. However, you took down Dragon Elephant City and angered the ancient Yu clan people who are attacking Heaven City by force now. How can you bear such a consequence, Miss Yi? Chapter 1187, Look at the Big Picture, 2. After a moment of silence, Yi Qingtang suddenly snickered from her host seat. I'm afraid you have misunderstood some things. Oh, misunderstood some things? What do you mean by that, Miss Yi? The young powerful figure asked with a frown. Firstly, the ancient Yu clan is this mainland's enemy. Being able to conquer their main city is my capability and my freedom. Secondly, I don't belong to any camp and only wish to protect the ordinary cultivators of this mainland. When I headed to Heaven City to provide support, I was there as an ally not as your subordinate, replied Yi Qingtang. What did you say? The young powerful figure was instantly enraged. Yi Qingtang, I don't care what you plan to do. Return Dragon Elephant City to the ancient Yu clan immediately. Otherwise, can you bear the responsibility of Heaven City being conquered? Yi Qingtang shook her head as she sized up the young man before her. People like you are really the product of this mainland's dark era. You. The young powerful figure glared at her furiously, and his martial aura surged into the sky. However, before he could take any action, Elder Bai Kuei, Daoist Zijin, and the other young lords entered the hall and eyed that young powerful figure coldly. The young powerful figure was startled and extremely shocked to see many young lords in the hall suddenly. How was there still such a force in the south battlefield? Could it be that Yi Qingtang could conquer Dragon Elephant City because of this force? Young man, I will spare your life today on the account that you are also a citizen of this mainland. Ha ha ha, Valley Master Xianchen, if the ancient Yu clan is willing to recruit a lackey, this kind of person will definitely be the first to wag his tail at and surrender to them. Why not just kill him? Forget it. The Great War has already begun. Even if they die, it's better to die on the battlefield, Daoist Zijin said. At this instant, the young powerful figure remained rooted to the ground rather stiffly and even did not dare to breathe loudly. There were many young lords in the hall, and it would only take a second for them to take his life. Scram off to where you came from. Yi Qingtang shouted sometime later with an icy gaze. Get lost. Valley Master Xianchen said with a frown when he saw that the young powerful figure did not move. Farewell, the young powerful figure gritted his teeth and left. Once he was out of Dragon Elephant City, Elder Bai Kuei looked at Yi Qingtang and said, this kind of people truly deserve to die. We conquered the ancient Yu clan's main city, but he still wanted us to return it to the ancient Yu clan. What does he view us as? Since when was there a logic where one had to return the enemy's home ground back to the enemy during a war? Gu Yu and the rest merely wished to protect themselves and did not consider the situation of the entire war. They actually wanted Yu Qingtang to give up on the one victory in order to ensure their personal safety. How could such a selfish person become a general? Humph. I really don't know what to say. Valley Master Xianqin said coldly. We should have killed him just now. He is a scourge even if we spare him. A peak master of Falling Sky Valley commented. Yi Qingtang shook her head. What Elder Zijin said just now is right. Even if they die, they should die on the battlefield. Chapter 1188, Look at the Big Picture. 3. Eldest Young Lady, what should we do next? Elder Baikue looked at Yi Qingtang and asked. Almost the entire south battlefield had fallen to the enemy's hands, and only the ancient clan master's area was still struggling to hold out. However, they might not hold out much longer, and the south was to be lost. Wait. Yi Qingtang gazed afar as she uttered slowly. The war had already begun, and everyone, including herself, may die. Yi Qingtang could not be certain of the outcome, and what she could do now was to take one step at a time and protect little Yu Yun. 2 days later, there was finally news from the scouts that Yi Qingtang sent out. Reporting. The ancient Yu clan conquered Heaven City fully in half a day. The scouts entered the hall and informed Yi Qingtang and the rest with cupped fists. How is that ancient Yu clan troop? Yi Qingtang asked. There are many casualties. One of the 3 young talents of the ancient Yu clan died. Heaven City also has a high casualty rate. Continue to get more information. A glint flashed across Yi Qingtang's eyes as she waved her sleeves. Yes. Half a day later, the scouts notified that the entire Heaven City had been conquered completely and that Gu Yu and the other powerful figures were fleeing toward Dragon Elephant City at top speed. Yi Qingtang immediately led the rest to the top of the city walls and inspected the place ahead. 15 minutes later, as reported by the scouts, Gu Yu and the other powerful figures from Heaven City were fleeing toward Dragon Elephant City swiftly like homeless dogs. In no time, they reached the foot of the city walls with dozens of ancient Yu clan figures right at their tails. Miss Yi, hurry up and let us in. Gu Yu looked at Yi Qingtang and said repeatedly. However, Yi Qingtang did not have the slightest intention to open the city gates. Yi Qingtang, what is the meaning of this? Brother Gu Yu is the overall general of Heaven City. How dare you defy his orders? Several Heaven City figures looked at Yi Qingtang and shouted sternly immediately. Yi Qingtang, however, snickered coldly. That is not so. I just feel that your battle has not ended. What did you say? Gu Ye's eyes twinkled coldly. Did I not say it clearly enough? You all have not finished this battle. I believe that given your skills, facing 10 or so ancient Yu clan figures will not be a problem. Once they are dealt with, we will naturally open the city gates and welcome you all, Yi Qingtang said. Yi Qingtang, how dare you forbid us from entering the city? You're courting death. An elderly glared at Yi Qingtang and shouted furiously. Nonetheless, Yi Qingtang no longer gave any response. Swoosh. At the same time, the ancient Yu clan figures had already caught up with them. Seeing that there was no other way out, Gu Yu ordered with clenched teeth. Fight it out with them. With that command, the Heaven City figures were locked in a battle with those ancient Yu clan figures. It had to be said that Gu Yu and the rest were exceptionally skilled. An hour later, more than half of the ancient Yu clan figures were slain, though such deaths also happened to Gu Ye's side. Until the very last minute, Yi Qingtang still did not have any intention to open the city gates. Yi Qingtang did not take pity on Gu Yu and the others. In their occupation of Heaven City, when had they truly thought of fighting the enemy? All they wanted was only to protect their lives. That ancient Yu clan troop suffered a huge loss in order to occupy Heaven City by force, and this was the best time to conquer Heaven City. Elder Enfo. Many ancient Yu clan figures' expressions changed when they saw Blood Moon Elder. They already knew that Elder Enfo betrayed ancient Yu clan and joined this mainland. Although Heaven City had a topographical advantage and powerful figures were unable to fly, the ancient Yu clan were astonished to see that Blood Moon Elder was still taller than Heaven City by a head. Have you seen enough? The Blood Moon Elder shouted furiously, and his fists were like a giant mountain that violently crashed toward the masses at the top of the city walls. The powerful cultivators of the ancient Yu clan were caught off guard and were pulverized by the Blood Moon Elder's mountain-like fists. Mercy for those who surrender. Death to those who resist. The 12 peak masters of Falling Sky Valley, hundreds of Yi family disciples, everyone from the Sea family, and the branch masters of the Yi family all suddenly appeared on the Blood Moon Elder and immediately leaped onto the wall. An intense battle between the two sides swiftly commenced without warning. At that moment, White Tiger also appeared on Blood Moon Elder's shoulder. Leading Yi Qingtang, it leaped onto Heaven City's city walls in a single motion. Lightning curses and the gleam of swords instantly filled the entire area. Half of the dozens of powerful cultivators from the ancient Yu clan who were patrolling the walls of Heaven City were killed before they even knew what hit them. Some of them recovered their wits but were smashed by the Blood Moon Elder's fists before they could fight back. However, after a moment, increasing numbers of ancient Yu clan cultivators became alarmed. They immediately hurried to the city walls. At that moment, the old man, who was the overall commander of this troop from the ancient Yu clan, was enraged when he saw that Yi Qingtang, the Blood Moon Elder, and the others had sprung a surprise attack on Heaven City. They had already sustained heavy losses from forcibly occupying Heaven City. Now they had to face a formidable enemy, and they were momentarily caught off guard. Actually, Heaven City's terrain was hazardous. It was easy to defend but difficult to attack. It should have been extremely difficult for anyone to try to invade the city after they had occupied it. However, the old man had overlooked Elder Enfo, who had betrayed the ancient Yu clan and gone over to this mainland. Elder Enfo's body was so huge that the advantages of Heaven City's precipitous terrain, including the fact that no one could fly over it, were all lost. So what if no one could fly over Heaven City or that the terrain was hazardous? All Elder Enfo had to do was straighten up, and he was taller than Heaven City. Kill. Kill all these ants from this mainland. The old man looked extremely grim as he issued death orders to the powerful cultivators of the ancient Yu clan, who hurried over in an unending stream. Humph! At that moment, an old man struck one of the Falling Sky Valley's 12 peak masters in the abdomen. The master of Horizon Peak, who was dressed in a white cotton robe, spat out blood. Then, he swiftly struck with his knife. The old man was caught off guard. He was injured by the knife aura and backed away. At that moment, more and more powerful cultivators arrived. The master of Horizon Peak was isolated and helpless, caught in a death trap. Roar! At that moment, a bellow of rage rang through the entire area. White Tiger leaped down from the wall. Its sharp teeth instantly pierced the old man's neck. At that moment, Yi Qingtang moved her arms slightly and caught the injured master of Horizon Peak. General, when the master of Horizon Peak saw Yi Qingtang, he gritted his teeth. He was momentarily lost for words. Promise me you won't die. Yi Qingtang glanced at the master of Horizon Peak and said softly. All of us must survive. Without giving the master of Horizon Peak an opportunity to reply, Yi Qingtang threw him into the camp in Falling Sky Valley. Together with Little White Tiger, she charged towards the ancient Yu clan. Kill! Don't leave a single one alive. The master of Horizon Peak clenched his fists as he looked at Yi Qingtang's disappearing figure and roared with rage. For 4 weeks, the clash of blades rang continually and the sound of agonized moans could be heard everywhere. It was as if Heaven City was transformed into hell. After a few hours, in the middle of the battle, Yu Tianhe, who had lost an arm, came over to the old man. With a frown, he said, "The battle is lost. We're outnumbered. The number of powerful cultivators they have is terrifying. We already sustained heavy losses when we first occupied Heaven City. If we continue this battle, the entire army will be lost." As the overall commander, the old man was fully aware of all this without Yu Tianhe reminding him. However, he could not bear to retreat now. The ancient Yu clan had desolated the entire southern battlefield wherever it went so that nothing was left alive. They had easily captured the various major cities and would have shortly exterminated all the powerful cultivators in the southern battlefield of this mainland. Instead, he had successively lost 2 cities. The first was Dragon Elephant City, which was lost in a surprise attack. The second was Heaven City, which was lost when it was forcibly invaded. If they just left like that, how could he face the Lord General? As long as the city stands, we will stay. If we lose the city, we will all die. The old man clenched his fists and said through gritted teeth. As a commander, it was a strange concept to have over the loss of just one city. How many mainlands had he conquered for the ancient Yu clan in his life? When had he ever suffered such humiliation? Today, even if he died, he would never flee. Very well. Yu Tianhe glanced at the old man and did not speak further. All he could do was to obey the orders he received. Day turned to night. After a long time, the ground was covered with blood. Yu Tianhe and the old man were surrounded by Daoist Zijin and perfected Xianchen. Within Heaven City, only Yu Tianhe and the old man were left for the ancient Yu clan. The rest had all died in battle. You've lost. Yi Qingtang said blandly as she looked at Yu Tianhe and the old man. Lost? When he heard Yi Qingtang's words, the old man laughed coldly. Indeed, we've lost, but we have only lost a city. We have won the entire southern region, and the entire mainland. Are you still disputing with us now that matters have reached this state? Daoist Zijin laughed coldly. If you surrender, we will spare you. Otherwise, you will die. Surrender, the old man laughed wildly. I am an upright man. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. But I have never known what it means to surrender. There is no need for you to humiliate me today. I will account for myself. As he finished speaking, the old man flourished his right arm. As everyone watched, he used his palm to smash his own glabella. Boom! The next second, the old man's body collapsed to the ground. He had killed himself. Clank! The next moment, Yu Tianhe drew his long sword. With the speed of lightning, he swept his sword across his own throat. Yu Tianhe and the overall commander of this troop from the ancient Yu clan had committed suicide. This surprised everyone. Bury them. Elder Bai Kuei spoke slowly as he stared at the bodies of the 2 men who had killed themselves. He felt neither pity nor any kind of emotion. This was a battlefield, a fundamentally cruel place. However, to Elder Bai Kuei, these 2 men were simply opponents worthy of his respect. The feelings of a commander and leader whose city had been invaded truly could not be expressed to others. Suicide was just death. However, their hearts were probably filled with regret. To Elder Bai Kuei, these 2 men were truly great generals. A pity that they were on opposing sides. Bury them both. Daoist Zijin walked forward, shaking his head, and issued orders to the Yi family disciples. At that moment, Yi Qingtang was standing on the top of the city wall, looking over the hell-like battlefield. At that moment, her feelings were mixed, and she did not feel any pleasure or joy at having conquered a formidable enemy. The blood on the long sword that she held in her hand had congealed into beads and slowly dripped down. The little white tiger squatted near Yi Qingtang. Its body of snow-white fur was stained red. Ah, after a long time, the little white tiger sighed softly. I've seen all kinds of species at war. Only the wars between humans involve many innocent people. On a battlefield, no one is innocent. Yi Qingtang paused for a moment before speaking softly. Then, she turned and left. That night, they conquered Heaven City and completely destroyed the troop from the ancient Yu clan, without leaving a single soul. In this battle, both sides had given no quarter. In the end, the overall commander and his general had ended it by killing themselves. Blood stained the entire Heaven City red. There was no terror or eeriness, just a slight sense of dreariness. This battle was later recorded in the annals of this mainland. After conquering Heaven City, the headquarters of the southern battlefield finally fulfilled its wishes when the supply teams banded together and brought rations into the city. For a few days, besides cleaning up the battlefield, Yi Qingtang's also swiftly gained greater insight into the martial realms. By the end of the third day, she had progressed from the mid-stage of Yin-Yang perfected Lord 8 Heaven to its peak. But no matter how hard Yi Qingtang tried, she was still unable to reach the threshold of Yang Lord 9th Heaven. Yi Qingtang had no idea where to find the doorway in her dantian that led to Yang Lord 9th Heaven. After half a month, bad news came from the headquarters of the southern battlefield. The ancient Yu clan's army had breached the two major cities of Peerless School and Phantom Valley. The Peerless School's sect master and the Phantom Valley master had both died in battle. Further, the remaining Yang Lords and superior troops in Peerless School and Phantom Valley had hurried to Heaven City at the first opportunity and joined in the major defense line in Heaven City. After the two major cities held by the Peerless School and Phantom Valley were breached, the enormous disadvantage that the southern battlefield was in became apparent. Within half a month, the tribes garrisoned by the ancient clan and the major defensive cities were all conquered by the ancient Yu clan's main troops stationed in the southern battlefield. The entire Nine Knights dynasty was completely occupied by the ancient Yu clan. Yi Qingtang felt that the situation was becoming increasingly perilous. She had planned to join all their military strength with that of the master of the ancient clan. However, she received bad news at the last minute. The southern headquarters had been breached by the Yu troops, and the headquarters had been shattered. Almost all the powerful cultivators from the ancient clan were killed in battle. The master of the ancient clan had also been killed after he had severely injured another top general named Yu Tong. Only one powerful cultivator from the ancient clan had escaped. He had arrived in Heaven City with severe injuries. He was at death's door by the time the patrols on the city wall discovered him. Valley Master Xianqian immediately ordered the city doors to be opened, and the powerful cultivator from the ancient clan brought into the main hall. At that moment, in the main hall of Heaven City, Yi Qingtang was looking at Daoist Zijin with a frown. "How are his injuries?" she asked. Daoist Zijin was silent for a long time. He finally shook his head and said, "He can't be saved." Daoist Zijin was a skilled healer, and his prognosis was accurate. After approximately an hour, the dying powerful cultivator from the ancient clan lived for a short time. His pale lips moved slightly. Who is? General Yi." With that, Yi Qingtang advanced and carefully supported the powerful cultivator from the ancient clan. "I am Yi Qingtang." Chapter 1193, Occupied, 1, General. Yi, the powerful cultivator from the ancient clan, suddenly summoned strength from somewhere and gripped Yi Qingtang's right hand tightly. He began weeping before Yi Qingtang could move. The clan master. With the clan master's power, he could have fled, but... I know. I had great respect for the master of the ancient clan. Yi Qingtang hurried to console him when she saw how agitated the powerful cultivator from the ancient clan had become. "General Yi, the Yus want the spiritual abode's incarnation in this mainland. Then they will use the power of the spiritual abode's incarnation to destroy every living thing, in this mainland, they will transform all its life forms into part of the spiritual abode. General Yi, find the incarnation of the spiritual abode and protect it. Do not allow this mainland to be destroyed, please. I beg you. The powerful cultivator's grip on Yi Qingtang's hand tightened. I will, Yi Qingtang said. The powerful cultivator from the ancient clan finally closed his eyes reluctantly. Yi Qingtang took a deep breath. She suddenly stood up. Her eyes glittered with a bone-chilling light as she shouted. The entire city is to be on full alert. Yes. With that, one of the Yi family's branch masters turned and left, his face stern. Yi Qingtang knew in her heart that this powerful cultivator from the ancient clan had only forced himself to survive to pass the news to her and Heaven City, the last faint hope of the entire southern battlefield. The incarnation of the spiritual abode was certainly little Yu Yun. The ancient Yu clan wanted to use little Yu Yun's powers to transform all living things in this mainland into spirit energy, allowing the spiritual abode to reach the peak of its mystical powers. Yi Qingtang also knew what Heaven City would be facing. The main force on the southern battlefield and a powerful cultivator with the rank of general. It was a real nightmare. After a moment, Yi Qingtang returned to her room. The little Luo Shui was excited to see Yi Qingtang. He opened his eyes wide and hugged Yi Qingtang's calves. Little Yu Yun also came over and smiled shyly. For some reason, whenever Yi Qingtang saw little Yu Yun and little Luo Shui, warmth would fill her heart. If she too collapsed, who would protect these two children? Yi Qingtang picked up little Luo Shui and little Yu Yun and walked out of the house. After a short while, they neared the city wall and the Blood Moon Elder. Hong Heching, Yi Qingtang looked at Blood Moon Elder. The Blood Moon Elder was startled by her words. He seldom heard Yi Qingtang call him directly by name. He had almost forgotten his real name. Holy Lady, what is the matter? Hong Heching. Yi Qingtang said again. The Blood Moon Elder sank into silence. As far as he could recall, this was the first time that Yi Qingtang had called him so sternly by his real name. Hong Heching is listening. General Yi, I am ready to receive my orders. The Blood Moon Elder shouted. While this war is ongoing, you are to protect these children. Yi Qingtang pointed at little Yu Yun and little Luo Shui. What, this? The Blood Moon Elder was shocked by Yi Qingtang's words. Was the Holy Lady ordering him to guard little Yu Yun and little Luo Shui? Holy Lady, considering my capabilities, it's better for me to enter the battlefield. It would be a waste of my talents to guard these two children, the Blood Moon Elder muttered. Do you enjoy fighting that much? Yi Qingtang asked softly. Chapter 1194, Occupied, 2, Holy Lady, with my capabilities, I can kill more enemies on the battlefield, reducing our enemy numbers, said the Blood Moon Elder. In that case, consider these two children as your battlefield. Yi Qingtang's words seemed to have a deeper meaning. Before the Blood Moon Elder could continue, Yi Qingtang said seriously, tell me if you can do this. I, Hong Heching, can do this. In the end, the Blood Moon Elder gritted his teeth and nodded. His voice was like the crash of thunder. He did not know what the Holy Lady was thinking, but if Yi Qingtang spoke so sternly and seriously, then he trusted her arrangements. Very well. Little Yu Yun is the future of this mainland, right now. I hand the future over to you. Yi Qingtang laughed softly. The Blood Moon Elder's heart quavered, and he immediately said, I will not disappoint the Holy Lady. Thank you. Yi Qingtang took a step back and bowed to the Blood Moon Elder. Holy Lady, the Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang. He could not describe his feelings, but it was as if she was handing over a legacy. I need to deal with the approaching main force of ancient Yu clan stationed in the south. I am unable to protect them. You are the most powerful among us all. I will only be at ease if these two children are in your care. Yi Qingtang smiled slightly at the Blood Moon Elder. With that, Yi Qingtang turned and left. As he looked at Yi Qingtang's disappearing figure, little Luo Shue's eyes became misty. He subconsciously reached out for Yi Qingtang but finally withdrew his hand. Although little Luo Shue was still young, he had a vague idea of what was going on. At that moment, he needed to hear from his own mother. Be good. Both of you are to come with grandfather. Grandfather will certainly take good care of you, alright? The Blood Moon Elder bent down and put little Luo Shue and little Yu Yun on his palm. Little Yu Yun nodded. The little Luo Shue blinked his wet eyes and looked at the Blood Moon Elder. Your mother has more important things to attend to. When you've grown up, you must follow your mother's example. The Blood Moon Elder looked at the two small children. Before long, scouts announced that the ancient Yu clan's main force in the south was no more than 100 miles from Heaven City. Yi Qingtang was silent for a long time after receiving this news. Then, her eyes swept across everyone present. 12 Peak Masters of Falling Sky Valley, receive your orders. Yi Qingtang said. We hear and obey. The 12 Peak Masters said seriously. Yi family disciples, receive your orders, said Yi Qingtang. We hear and obey. Hundreds of Yi family disciples replied in unison. Yi family branch masters, receive your orders, said Yi Qingtang. We hear and obey. The many Yi family young lords advanced. Elders of the Yi family, receive your orders, said Yi Qingtang. We hear and obey. Daoist Zijin, elder by Kuei, and the other young lords looked determined. Si family young lords, receive your orders, said Yi Qingtang. We hear and obey. The many young lords from the Si family cupped their fists. Yi Qingtang said slowly, the main force of the ancient Yu clan is no more than 100 miles away. In this battle, all of us could die. Everyone present already knew that. If anyone wants to back out now, they can immediately leave Heaven City without being pursued. Yi Qingtang said. After a moment, no one responded. Very well, thank you everyone. Yi Qingtang slowly bowed to everyone present. General, it is we, who should thank you. Daoist Zijin looked at Yi Qingtang with a complicated expression. General, with your powers, you could easily leave this mainland, but you have chosen to remain. With us, this mainland had raised them. No one was willing to leave. They were all willing to live or die together with this mainland that had raised them. But Yi Qingtang was still so young. She could leave this mainland and wait for her powers to exceed that of the ancient Yu clan before taking revenge on them. But, Yi Qingtang had also chosen to stay and to live and die with them. How noble of her, reporting. The main force of the ancient Yu clan is less than 20 miles away. Another scout swiftly reported. Yi Qingtang remained silent for a moment. Then, with her eyes glittering with cold light, she said, meet them in battle. Kill! 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 Everyone shouted in unison. The first battle to determine the survival of this mainland was about to commence. This battle was later recorded in history books. Thousands of years later, whenever people discussed it, they would be filled with the deepest respect for these heroes who were not afraid to die in battle, for the immortal souls, and for this solemn and stirring moment that moved them to both song and tears. At that moment, everyone had arrived at the top of the wall. Thousands of powerful cultivators had gathered from all over the south to hold the last line of defense. They raised their longbows, drew their arrows, and aimed beyond the city. Boom, boom, boom. The entire earth quickly started to shake as if a natural disaster was imminent. Dust floated in the void, sketching the outline of the battlefield. The air was filled with the distinctive scent of blood. No one knew what to expect. Death did not seem frightening at this point. A moment later, the main force of the Yu clan in the south descended on the lone city. A green-robed man stood on top of a huge demonic beast. He swept a glance at the crowd on the city walls of Heaven City. Behind him stood thousands of powerful cultivators from the ancient Yu clan and a few of the super sect forces which had surrendered earlier on the southern battlefield. The southern headquarters has been breached. Your general is dead. If you surrender, your lives will be spared. After a moment, the green-robed man, Yu Tong, said slowly. Kill. 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 However, a roar of defiance arose in response to General Yu Tong. In Heaven City, battle flags flew, and battle drums rang out. Release. Elder Bai Kuei waved his right arm and shouted sharply. At Elder Bai Kuei's command, countless arrows flew with incredible speed. They were so numerous that they fell like rain on the main force of the ancient Yu clan below them. These bows and arrows were specially constructed, and most of them were almost black-grade quality. The arrows were coated with either the destructive power of elemental fire or the power of frost. They were terrifying. Boom! The moment the arrows fell, towering flames shot skywards and exploded in the void. Many of the powerful cultivators from the ancient clan were caught off guard and retreated with injuries. Many of the super sect powers in the south, who had yielded to the ancient Yu clan, were immediately killed by the explosion or were pierced through. Yi Qingtang had prepared for this battle for a long time. These bows and arrows were mostly constructed of ancient meteoric iron, and some of them even surpassed the power of ordinary black-grade divine weapons. Although the ancient Yu clan was powerful, this mainland greatly restricted their powers. It was impossible for them to avoid being injured by the arrows. Even those southern super sect powers who had surrendered to the ancient Yu clan were hard-pressed to withstand them. Release. 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 Elder Bai Kuei shouted repeatedly. The specially constructed arrows fell in waves on the ancient Yu clan. Yi Qingtang had used up all the ancient meteoric iron but had only made enough arrows for 3 waves of attacks. However, these 3 waves of attacks had already caused the main force of the ancient Yu clan to sustain heavy losses. The southern super sect forces were pushed to the front line by the ancient Yu clan and were completely wiped out. Even 1/3 of the ancient Yu clan's main forces were killed or injured. Humph. After a moment, Yu Tong grunted coldly and used the power of a heavenly venerate to protect the main forces. If Yu Tong had not shielded them with the power of a heavenly venerate, the casualties in the main forces would have been even greater. When she saw that they had used up all the arrows, Yi Qingtang waved her arms slightly. Roar! Little White Tiger instantly grew bigger and led Yi Qingtang to charge out of Heaven City. The advantages of Heaven City were almost non-existent when faced with the southern battlefield's main forces. Yu Tong could easily use his heavenly venerate power to destroy Heaven City or lay siege to the city, thus turning the advantage to himself. Kill! Elder Bai Kuei, Valley Master Xianchen, and dozens of Yang lords led the charge. They leaped off the city wall to land outside the city and then charged towards the main force of the ancient Yu clan. Kill! 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 Hundreds of Yi family disciples followed, their faces grim and determined. At that moment, a roar rang out in front of them. The vanguard of the ancient Yu clan held black-grade weapons and tried to surround Yi Qingtang. Roar! The white tiger, which had enlarged itself, bellowed in rage. The demonic aura of a fiend celestial was transformed into gusts of wind that forced the powerful cultivators of the ancient Yu clan to retreat. Swoosh! Yi Qingtang drew her black-grade divine weapon and brandished it as she advanced. The heavenly demon bloodline and the divine phoenix bloodline were forced to their peaks. She was completely covered by a black aura and a golden glow. It was as if a god of the 9th heaven had arrived on earth. Every time Yi Qingtang waved the black-grade divine weapon in her hand, it took a life. Fortunately, most of the powerful cultivators in the main forces were still poisoned, and most of their martial capabilities were only at the sixth heaven of Yin-Yang perfected lord, as they had not yet recovered to the stage of a Yang lord. Otherwise, there was no need to even fight this battle. In an instant, the thousands of men from this mainland and the ancient Yu clan violently collided like meteorites that had left their obits, howling wildly like the wind. However, after a few skirmishes, the Yi family disciples started to fall back. Although most of the Yi family disciples were on par with the powerful cultivators of the ancient Yu clan who had not yet recovered their full abilities, their martial arts cultivation level was still far inferior to that of the powerful cultivators of the ancient Yu clan. When they saw that, the 12 peaks divided into two forces. One force continued to hold up the main forces while the other joined the Yi family disciples' formation to relieve the pressure on the Yi family disciples. They would really rather die than surrender. Before long, the green-robed man, Yu Tong, transformed into a ray of light and rushed at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang immediately extricated herself from the battlefield. She leaped from the little white tiger's back, and her slender figure was soon embroiled in a fight with Yu Tong. Roar! The demonic beast that Yu Tong was riding shot a beam of destructive light from its mouth. But before it reached Yi Qingtang, the white tiger sent it flying with a headbutt. The little white tiger and Yu Tong's demonic beast were soon fighting. Fiend Celestial Beast. Yu Tong was astonished to see that the Fiend Celestial Beast was equally matched with the Black Flame God, one of the most powerful demonic beasts of the ancient Yu clan. Never had he expected that this mainland actually had a Fiend Celestial Beast. That is, Black Flame God, Elder Bai Kuei was shocked as he inspected the ancient Yu clan demon. Black Flame God was an ancient demonic beast that was extremely scarce. Many masters at taming beasts could not find a single one even after devoting their entire lives to the purpose. This type of demon was inherently violent, and when it reached its peak, it could turn into a flaming beast that could set everything in this world on fire. Roar! With a furious shout from the little white tiger, its claws lunged forward and instantly made a few bloody scratches on Black Flame God's face. Roar! Roar! Black Flame God roared loudly in pain. Subsequently, it held its head up high and sent the white tiger flying. Many ancient Yu clan figures and Yi family disciples scattered away in all directions swiftly in fear that they would lose their lives unexpectedly in the fierce battle between the two creatures. Before everyone could react, a small ball of light resembling a little sun was condensed in Black Flame God's mouth. Retreat! Yu Tong ordered immediately upon noticing the situation. Without his reminder, all the ancient Yu clan masses had already withdrawn themselves from the scene and retreated backward successively. When enraged, the Black Flame God's fire energy would escalate tremendously, and its attacking manner was extremely broad, so much that it did not distinguish between enemy and ally. In just a moment, the battlefield was already broken up. Everyone rushed into a mountain valley not far away, and every inch of the place became a battlefield smoked with blood. Soon after, an explosion reverberated from the nearby Heaven City. The white tiger was heavily injured while Black Flame God seemed to be even more severely wounded. Both demonic creatures continued to tremble violently. The war between the mainland and the ancient Yu clan's main south army was finally full-blown in the mountain valley. Night turned into day, and day turned into night once again. No one knew how much time had passed. The ground in the mountain valley was blanketed by blood, and broken limbs were strewn everywhere. Ha ha ha! A shrill laugh sounded from a certain corner of the mountain valley. A falling Sky Valley Peak Master's abdomen was pierced by a long sword. You are very tenacious, but all of you must die, an ancient Yu clan elderly said. Swoosh! However, the Peak Master did not utter a word and grabbed the ancient Yu clan elderly who stabbed him. What are you doing? The elderly asked indifferently. Ha ha ha! Let's go together. Grotto Heaven Peak Master roared with laughter. This is the self-destruction of a young lord. What? The elderly's expression changed drastically, and shock filled his face. Once a cultivator reached the Yang Lord realm, the body could condense a spirit such that it had a chance of being reincarnated to become human once again even if the cultivator died. However, if one self-destructed, even the spirit would vanish into thin air. Are you insane? The ancient Yu clan elderly hollered furiously. As he saw that the Grotto Heaven Peak Master refused to let go of him, the elderly's eyes flickered, and he slammed the Grotto Heaven Peak Master's glabella with full force. Ow! Blood spewed out of the Grotto Heaven Peak Master's mouth, and he trembled non-stop, but his grip on the elderly never released. Everyone, quickly run, run. Chapter 1198 occupied 6. The Grotto Heaven Peak Master's eyes landed on the surrounding Yi family disciples, who were fighting hard as he shouted loudly. As he spoke, an indescribable breath of destruction emerged around the Grotto Heaven Peak Master's body. It condensed all the energy sources of the Yang Lord and self-detonated, destroying this energy. Grotto Heaven Peak Master. Many Yi family disciples were teary as they looked at the Grotto Heaven Peak Master not far away. However, the self-destruction force of a Yang Lord was massive and had a wide range. If they did not flee, they would also be roped in. Ultimately, many Yi family disciples stopped the fight and fled away at the fastest speed they had ever used in their lives. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Seeing that all the Yi family disciples had left, the Grotto Heaven Peak Master was finally relieved. General. Valley Master. Old Valley Master. We are not a disgrace to Falling Sky Valley, or this mainland, right? The Grotto Heaven Peak Master clung onto the alarmed ancient Yu clan Yang Lord elderly tightly and turned into a blinding light. Boom, boom, boom. A deafening sound reverberated throughout the place. A corner of the valley crumbled instantly and was destroyed by the self-destructive force of a Yang Lord. The ground shattered, and the forest collapsed. It was like a natural disaster. After this loud crash, the ancient Yu clan masses nearby, who did not even know what happened, fell victim to the self-destructive force of a Yang Lord and were buried 6 feet under forever. This valley was a distance away from Heaven City, and cultivators could fly in the air. At this moment, Yi Qingtang witnessed the scene from the sky and clenched her fists tightly. She bowed deeply at Grotto Heaven Peak Master in the air without uttering a word. Subsequently, an icy glint flashed across her eyes as she charged toward the ancient Yu clan masses. Swoosh! A sword gleam slashed across and penetrated through the bodies of several ancient Yu clan powerful figures. Yi Qingtang landed on the ground swiftly. Eldest young lady, suddenly, a weak voice came from nearby. Yi Qingtang looked behind instinctively, and her eyes dilated slightly. Yi Leng, what entered Yi Qingtang's eyes was a shocking sight, and she rushed to the teen's side. Yi Leng was no stranger to Yi Qingtang. He was the son of a formidable Heaven's Dynasty prince. Elder Bai Kuei doted on him dearly and brought him from formidable Heaven's Dynasty to the Yi family and changed his last name to Yi. However, the once vigorous and energetic teen was sliced apart at his waist, and his remaining upper body only had an arm left. Eldest young lady, Yi Leng's eyes were full of despair, and it reflected Yi Qingtang's figure. He trembled slightly. I am not scared. Yi Qingtang walked forward slowly, kneeled down, and placed Yi Leng's head on herself. Eldest young lady. Am I about to die? Yi Leng's face was ghastly pale. It was as though Yi Qingtang's throat was choked with charcoal, which caused a piercing burn. Eldest young lady. I am in pain. Yi Leng wanted to move his body but did not have the strength to. Yi Qingtang's clothes were already stained red by the blood on Yi Leng's body. She looked at Yi Leng's remaining upper body, and the initially youthful face was gradually covered by a pale sheet of ash. Yi Qingtang took a deep breath and suppressed all the sorrow that filled her heart. She said softly, I am sorry, a three-word whisper seemed to deplete all her energy. Chapter 1199 Blood Battle 1 Eldest young lady. Thank you for protecting this mainland. The person I admire the most is you, eldest young lady. Eldest young lady. I'll tell you a secret. A lot of us, ye family disciples, like you, and said, we want to marry you in the future, Yiling said weakly. It seemed as though he wanted to smile, but he did not even have the energy to squeeze out a smile. Eldest young lady. I lied to you. I am very scared. I don't wish to die. Yiling was suddenly extremely worked up, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood as he spoke. Save me. Otherwise, my grandfather Bai Kuei will be sad. His determined eyes were filled with mist. Yi Qingtang hugged Yiling's upper body tightly until he could no longer speak, and his teary eyes closed forever. Swoosh! Yi Qingtang stood up and turned into a blur, slashing at the ancient Yu clan masses not far away. Little Leng, in no time, Elder Bai Kuei slashed his way to the spot and was dumbstruck when he saw Yiling's half-body. I want you all to be crushed to pieces. Elder Bai Kuei roared to the sky and charged towards the ancient Yu clan camp ahead along with Yi Qingtang. Puff! Elder Bai Kuei immediately slashed an unprepared Yu Yang lord at his waist with one strike. Seeing that a Yang lord was killed, the remaining Yang lords were shocked, and anger riled up within them subsequently as they surrounded Elder Bai Kuei. I want you all to be buried with my descendant. Elder Bai Kuei did not have the slightest intention to back away in the face of several ancient Yu clan Yang lords. Elder Bai Kuei, retreat quickly. Yi Qingtang, who was fighting with other Yang lords currently and could not get away, shouted at Elder Bai Kuei loudly. Puff! However, with numerous Yang lords opposing him, Elder Bai Kuei was defeated in an instant. Whiz! With a bow in hand, a Yang lord released 10 arrows at top speed, which simultaneously shot towards Elder Bai Kuei, who was already badly battered. Puff! Sounds of a sharp weapon piercing into flesh rang successively. Blood seeped out of the corner of Elder Bai Kuei's lips, but he still stood tall and straight. The 10 arrows had penetrated through his body. It's a pity that I cannot continue to fight this war with you. Eldest young lady. Thank you for your care. In this period of time, resolution filled Elder Bai Kuei's eyes as a force of destruction emerged from his body. He wants to self-destruct. The Yang lords were shocked after sensing the force of destruction on Elder Bai Kuei's body. Quickly run! One of the Yang lords shouted. The self-destruction of a Yang lord could pose as an extremely huge threat to an arcane supremacy, much less to a Yang lord. Sealed sky. Technique. Seeing that the Yang lords wanted to escape, Elder Bai Kuei formed a print with his palms, and in an instant, a golden screen sealed himself and those Yang lords in it. You have a death wish. One of the Yang lords was enraged and charged towards Elder Bai Kuei with a sword in his hand. Puff! Elder Bai Kuei's skull was detached from his body instantly, but just as he was beheaded, the force of destruction reached its peak. Boom, boom, boom. A shattering explosion sounded from within the golden screen. Chapter 1200 Blood Battle 2 Several peak Yang lords from the ancient Yu clan were turned into ash along with Elder Bai Kuei. Yi Qingtang was left in a trance at this moment. The scene where Elder Bai Kuei first came to Yi family appeared in her mind. Making use of Yi Qingtang's days, a few Yang lords exchanged a look and immediately charged towards Yi Qingtang. Nonetheless, in just a moment, Yi Qingtang turned into a black flame and devoured those Yang lords instead. In the dark night, there was the glow of fire in the valley. The Yi family masses screamed, roared, gritted their teeth, and were enraged. In this hell-like battlefield, their life or death no longer seemed to matter. Many of those Yi family siblings, whom they spent much time with and went through thick and thin together, had lost their lives in their last resistance. Every drop of blood drove the Yi family masses even more insane. Anger and hatred blinded their rationality, the weapons in their hands never rested as they drank more blood greedily. In Heaven City, the Blood Moon Elder's eyes were devoid of emotions when he saw the uninvited guest before him. The person was a middle-aged man. His long, jet-black hair swayed in the wind, and he had an antique long saber hung on his waist. The middle-aged man looked at Blood Moon Elder with a seeming smile. "Elder Enfo, good job. Hand the kid with the reincarnation of the spiritual abode to me." "Hand her to you." The Blood Moon Elder snickered suddenly. "Are you dreaming?" The devilish smile on that man's face did not fade even upon hearing that. "Oh. In that case, have you really sided with this mainland already?" Without waiting for Blood Moon Elder to speak, the middle-aged man shook his head and said, "Elder Enfo, as an alien race raised by Ancient Yu Clan, your mission is to stay loyal to Ancient Yu Clan until you die. However, you sided with the enemy and are fighting on the same front as the ants of this lowly mainland. How disappointing. The Ancient Yu Clan is so disappointed, ha ha ha, I think that you're tired of living. I was still worried about not being able to enter the battlefield, but you came knocking on my door on your own accord." Afterward, a glint flashed across the Blood Moon Elder's eyes. He raised his right shoulder, and his mountain-like fist swung towards the middle-aged man violently. The power of this punch raked up wild gusts of wind instantly, and even a mountain would completely crumble under this force. The middle-aged man held the long saber on his waist gently. Subsequently, there was a sound of a sword being unsheathed, and a gleam flashed by. In the next second, under the Blood Moon Elder's stunned gaze, blood was spouting out of his fist like a fountain. The Blood Moon Elder retreated backward as his right shoulder trembled violently. "Ha!" The middle-aged man looked at Blood Moon Elder and chuckled. "Elder Enfo, the 100 elders in the Ancient Yu Clan are ranked according to their skills. You are only ranked 60 while I am ranked 20. From where did you find the courage to fight me?" Before the Blood Moon Elder spoke, the middle-aged man continued speaking. "Come, hand those 2 kids to me. I can consider sparing your life. After all, our comradeship has not disappeared completely yet." "Ha ha ha, how delusional of you." The Blood Moon Elder chortled loudly. Suddenly, he grabbed little Yu Yun and little Luo Shui and fled the city. Chapter 12:01 Blood Battle 3 In just the blink of an eye, the Blood Moon Elder had already fled out of the city and was nowhere to be seen. That middle-aged man was too powerful, and the Blood Moon Elder could not rival him given his skills. Moreover, the Blood Moon Elder could not escape in the direction of the battlefield or he would lead the middle-aged man towards the battlefield. Swoosh! Outside a forest, the middle-aged man appeared once again before the Blood Moon Elder. "Elder Enfo, you cannot escape. I'll give you one last chance. Hand the kids to me or bear the consequences," chuckled the middle-aged man. The Blood Moon Elder gently placed little Luo Shui and little Yu Yun on the ground immediately and looked at them seriously. "Listen to grandfather. Leave this place immediately, understood?" "Grandfather," little Luo Shui looked at Blood Moon Elder with worry. "Ha ha ha, don't worry, little Luo Shui. Look how huge my body is. I am unrivaled. No one can defeat me. Didn't you all say that you all want to be as powerful as me in the future?" the Blood Moon Elder said with a smile. Little Luo Shui and little Yu Yun nodded repeatedly. "That's right. You two will run away first. When I start attacking, there will be too much of a stir, and I'm afraid you two will be hurt by accident. I will find you all later, all right?" The Blood Moon Elder said. "Grandfather, don't lie," little Luo Shui was still rather worried. When have I ever lied to you all? Are you all not going to listen to me and are going to anger me? The Blood Moon Elder said in a furious tone. Ultimately, little Luo Shui held little Yu Yun's hands and ran ahead quickly after being driven away by the Blood Moon Elder. The two little kids must be safe, the Blood Moon Elder muttered softly as he watched little Luo Shui and little Yu Yun leave. Humph. The middle-aged man scoffed coldly and immediately flew to the sky, wanting to chase after little Yu Yun and little Luo Shui. His objective this time was to obtain the reincarnation of the spiritual abode, and anything else was not important. Where do you think you are going? The Blood Moon Elder hollered furiously, and he struck the man with his left palm. However, the middle-aged man was extremely fast. He retreated backward immediately and avoided the Blood Moon Elder's attack. The middle-aged man had a clear idea of the Blood Moon Elder's specialty. Anyone apart from the commander who was caught by him would die without a doubt. Of course, the middle-aged man did not think that Blood Moon Elder could catch him either. Move away. The middle-aged man looked at the Blood Moon Elder and said coldly. Ha ha ha, you are dreaming. The Blood Moon Elder snickered. The only mission that Holy Lady gave him was to protect the two kids. No matter what, he would not let the ancient Yu clan lay their hands on little Yu Yun. It seems that you're just courting death. The middle-aged man slowly unsheathed the long saber on his waist. Let's see who will die. You or me. The Blood Moon Elder shouted angrily and threw a punch at the middle-aged man. Since you are seeking death, as someone from the same clan, I can only fulfill your wishes. The middle-aged man had an indifferent expression as he said, saber intent. Martial willpower filled the air instantly. Two bolts of light shot out from the middle-aged man's eyes, and he slashed away with the long saber in his hands. Puff! The fist that the Blood Moon Elder threw out was chopped immediately. A small mountain-like fist flung afar. Chapter 1202 Blood Battle for the Blood Moon Elder was breaking out in a cold sweat profusely, but the excruciating pain kept him more clear-headed. No matter what. I will not let you go there. Kill that thought of yours. The Blood Moon Elder grunted loudly. Nonetheless, the middle-aged man did not speak, and he slashed with his saber. The Blood Moon Elder's enormous body did not retreat, and he advanced instead, welcoming all the aura from the saber straight on. In the next second, the Blood Moon Elder's chest area was crushed by the saber aura, and fresh blood stained his body red. Ha! Ha 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 ha! The Blood Moon Elder looked at his severely wounded body and laughed wildly. Satisfying, satisfying. Are you crazy? The middle-aged man looked at the Blood Moon Elder without emotion. Ha ha ha, how can one not act a little wild in their lifetime? Then, the Blood Moon Elder continued to close in on the middle-aged man with an insane expression. You have a death wish. The middle-aged man snickered coldly, and the long saber condensed a frightening destructive force. Subsequently, the saber moved in an arc and advanced irresistibly. The Blood Moon Elder's perfect defense was utterly weak before the middle-aged man and his long saber. Thud! The saber chopped off Blood Moon Elder's entire right leg. Without the support of a leg, the enormous body lost balance and fell to the ground immediately. You bit off more than you can chew. The middle-aged man snickered coldly upon seeing the sight. Then, the middle-aged man did not spare the Blood Moon Elder another look, walked past him directly, and chased in the direction of little Yu Yun and little Luo Shui. However, at this instant, the Blood Moon Elder raised his perfect left arm and slammed the ground heavily. Boom! 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 Under this huge force, the ground ahead shattered completely and formed a huge chasm that could not be leaped over. Don't you think of leaving? Blood Moon Elder laughed. Is that it? The middle-aged man's lips tugged up slightly, and he wanted to fly in the air instead. If he was unable to walk on the ground, traveling by air was the same too. Yet, at this moment, the middle-aged man's expression changed. He was actually unable to fly. Was a mystic technique laid in the sky here? Ha 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 ha, I have said a mystic technique here long ago. You cannot fly nor walk forward, the Blood Moon Elder chortled. You're courting death. Realizing that he could not continue to pursue his target, the middle-aged man was utterly enraged, and his long saber slashed at Blood Moon Elder's neck heavily. Puff! A streak of blood splashed by along with the slit at his throat. In a few breaths, large gushes of blood spewed out from Blood Moon Elder's neck and painted the ground bright red instantly. Seeing that the Blood Moon Elder was completely breathless, the middle-aged man clenched his teeth. You all will not be able to escape. Afterward, the middle-aged man turned around and left. Nonetheless, the Blood Moon Elder's tightly shut eyes opened suddenly, and he raised his left arm at top speed. What? The middle-aged man was stunned. Never had he thought that the Blood Moon Elder, who was slit at the neck, had not died. Got, you. Ha. Ha. Ha 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 ha. Blood Moon Elder gripped on the middle-aged man tightly with his left palm as he laughed wildly. It was just that his neck was slit, and every word he spoke accelerated the blood loss at his neck. Chapter 1203 Blood Battle 5, The middle-aged man wanted to say something, but the Blood Moon Elder put all his force in his hand. In a second, the middle-aged man's body exploded in the Blood Moon Elder's hand and was crushed into pieces. Boom! Puff, puff, puff. Eventually, the Blood Moon Elder's left arm fell weakly as he panted heavily. Holy Lady! Hung He, Qing, succeeded in carrying out your order, and completed my mission. The Blood Moon Elder looked up at the sky and shouted. 2 streaks of tears flowed down Blood Moon Elder's cheeks. Very swiftly, the Blood Moon Elder struggled to stand up, but the current him did not have any energy left, and he was unable to walk after losing a leg. Hung Heching, am not anyone's split self, Blood Moon Elder mumbled. Many scenes played in the Blood Moon Elder's head in a moment. Back when he and Yi Qingtang first met, he had no other choice and was forced to sign a heavenly Dao contract with her. The days that followed were joyous and carefree. In Xianling sect, he became an ordinary disciple and was bullied and oppressed by Yi Qingtang every day. Afterward, the two of them were through thick and thin together. The sudden change in Xianling sect, heading to the Blood Moon sect together, putting up an act. In the hell of Avicenaraka mystic realm, they stuck through the dangers together and never abandoned one another. In the war, they trusted each other fully without any suspicions. Thinking about it carefully, in his entire life, he only had that one friend, that one precious friend. Sorry. My friend, the Blood Moon Elder chuckled softly. At this instant, Yi Qingtang from afar felt her heart tremble slightly after killing several ancient Yu clan figures. Yi Qingtang clearly felt that her contract with the Blood Moon Elder suddenly disappeared at that very moment. An inauspicious feeling filled her rapidly. Immediately, Yi Qingtang turned into a shadow and flew towards the location she last sensed him at. Yi Qingtang found the Blood Moon Elder very quickly. However, upon seeing Blood Moon Elder, Yi Qingtang could not show any expression. Her eyes widened slightly in astonishment. Holy Lady, why are you here? The Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang and chuckled softly. Don't talk, Yi Qingtang shuttled to Blood Moon Elder's side with great strides. Ha! Holy Lady. I completed your mission. The kids are safe. The Blood Moon Elder laughed loudly. Don't say anything, Yi Qingtang clenched her fists tightly. Unknowingly, her fingernails dug into her palm, and blood dripped down freely. I can't say anything, in the future anyway, the Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang and said, Thank you, my friend. Please, live on. Along with his final cry, his huge body gradually turned into nothing and vanished completely. Heaven City's general is here. Kill her. Some ancient Yu clan people rushed over and shouted loudly as they looked at Yi Qingtang. Get lost. In a flash, monstrous black flames burned around Yi Qingtang, and the flames shot out in all directions. In a few breaths' time, the dozens of people who chased over were completely devoured by the black flames. Without looking back, Yi Qingtang gazed at the spot where the Blood Moon Elder disappeared and picked up a black wine gourd, which was the only thing the Blood Moon Elder left behind. She could still remember that it contained the Blood Moon Elder's favorite alcohol. The Blood Moon Elder had asked Yi Qingtang to drink together a few times. However, Yi Qingtang did not agree as she was not a drinker. She opened the bottle and turned her wrist down to pour the alcohol onto the floor. 1 glass to the immortal soul. 1 glass to the smile that she could still remember. Friend, rest in peace. Yi Qingtang's face was pale, and a mouthful of blood spurted from her mouth. Yi Qingtang then poured the alcohol into her mouth. She could feel that the familiar figure of the Blood Moon Elder also raised his glass and smiled. He clinked his glass with her and drank everything at one shot. 1 glass to the soil. 1 glass to us. Farewell, my friend. The alcohol was poured into her throat. She put the gourd in her pocket and stared at the increasing number of people from the ancient Yu clan. She stood at the spot like an icy mountain. Screams and wails were heard constantly in the valley. Perfected Xianqian had lost one of his arms. His whole body was covered by blood. He pierced the sword into the ground with his left hand. Though he had used all his strength, he was not willing to give up. Everyone had used all their strength in the battle, but they all failed. Though many people of the ancient Yu clan died as well and only a small number of people still remained, their main source of power was still alive. Yu Tong stared at Yi Qingtang and said, I did not expect that you would be so stubborn. Yu Tong thought that it would be easy to win the war in the south. However, there was no sign of ending the war even though the headquarters were taken down long ago. The resistance and stubbornness of the team were getting stronger, and that exceeded the ancient Yu clan's imagination. Though the people of the southern mainland lost greatly, the ancient Yu clan's victory was built on many lives sacrificed. Swoosh! Yi Qingtang scanned through the figures of the ancient Yu clan. She turned into a black flame, and the aura of destruction spread throughout the area. Yu Tong frowned slightly. As he moved his eyes, the indescribable aura of the heavenly venerate surrounded the black flame. After being suppressed by the aura of the heavenly venerate, the black flame faded gradually and turned back into Yi Qingtang's original self. Though Yi Qingtang's martial ability was at the same level as General Yu Tong on this piece of land, their sources of energy were totally different. One was the power of the primordial qi, but the other was the power of a heavenly venerate. The difference was huge. He. General of Heaven City. You and your army are stubborn and more powerful than I had thought. However, you have no chance of survival when your enemy is me. Yu Tong looked at Yi Qingtang, and his lips curved upwards slightly. His eyes turned into a green color and rotated at an even higher speed. A cold glint flashed across her eyes as if she was about to sacrifice everything to fight against the ancient Yu clan. However, the sky and the ground seemed to turn upside down at the instant without any sign. There was no Heaven City, no war zone or the valley. What Yi Qingtang was seeing now was a sea of flame. The burning magma concentrated towards her and was about to engulf her. Illusion. Yi Qingtang frowned heavily. She could see through the illusion based on her experience. The fire was an illusion created by Yu Tong's power of the heavenly venerate. This is bad. Yi Qingtang condensed the primordial qi in her body to the limit, and countless black flames appeared beside her body. The flames then rushed into the sky, trying to break the world of illusions created by Yutong. Chapter 1205 Blood Battle 7. So there is no way to break the illusion created by the heavenly venerate. An ominous feeling arose in Yi Qingtang's heart. Suddenly, Yi Qingtang's face was pale, and blood seeped out of her mouth. The illusion was connected with the real world. If her body was injured in the outside world, she would suffer from the injury in the illusion as well. The outside world. Yi Qingtang's eyes were closed as she stood motionlessly in her original spot. Her left shoulder was pierced by Yutong's sword. The remaining figures of the ancient Yu clan all started laughing. Even the most powerful people of the inferior mainland would not possess the same level of power as a powerful person from a superior land. There was no hope of survival once she entered Yutong's illusion. She could only be manipulated by him. Hee hee. You exceeded my expectation on the duration you endured in my illusion. However, you'll still die here. Yutong sneered. Eldest young lady. Some disciples of the Yi family looked over and gritted their teeth. However, they lost all their fighting capabilities and could not even stand up straight due to their severe injuries. Ha ha ha, General. I think this lattice appearance is special. It'll be a waste if she just died. How about giving her to us? One of the middle-aged men looked towards Yutong and showed a cunning smile. Yutong's eyes suddenly darkened. Swoosh. Yutong sliced his sword down without making any sound. The middle-aged man's body was cut into half. Blood spurted out immediately, leaving a horrible scene. This, everyone looked around and mumbled as their general suddenly killed a young lord. I don't care what you do in your daily life. However, you need to obey my rules when you're following me. This is the battlefield. I hope that all of you give respect to our enemies. We can kill women, but, Yutong paused and scanned through everyone coldly. Some of the powerful figures who followed Yutong for a long period of time scoffed. Yutong would never bully or humiliate women. He resented such behaviors. The young lord just now was seeking his own death. However, some of the powerful figures who were dispatched to the southern were scorned. The people of the inferior land could not even be addressed as human. Why couldn't they enjoy themselves after a long fight? Hee hee. This is a battlefield. Everyone fought hard to be able to stand here. Even those who died in your hands deserve your respect. Yutong sneered. Everyone nodded their heads, and no one dared to say anything else. Yutong was satisfied with everyone's reaction. He turned back slowly and moved the sword in his hand slowly. Suddenly, before he could slash his sword down, a black giant eye appeared beside him. Commander, Yutong's pupil constricted as he saw the black eye. It was a Dharma artifact that was used to communicate with the commander. 3 princesses and 2 noble heirs from the central mainland were kidnapped. They ordered us to give up on conquering this land. An illusory voice came out of the black eye. What? Yutong and the rest of the ancient Yu clan figures were all shocked. Commander, who dares to kidnap the 3 princesses and the 2 noble heirs? Yutong frowned and asked. The 5 of them were all children of the higher-ups of Yu clan's headquarters. The clan master's beloved princess was also one of them. I'm not very sure, but I assume it's the 3rd prince of the eternal dynasty. The illusory voice was heard again. Chapter 1206 Blood Battle 8 Ling Yan. It's him again. Yutong's eyes sparkled. When they entered this mainland, they were poisoned by Ling Yan. Now, when they were about to exterminate everything on this land, Ling Yan kidnapped the 5 noble descendants of the higher-ups of the ancient Yu clan. And even the clan master's beloved princess. But As long as we can find the reincarnation of the spiritual abode and use that power to absorb all the lives on this mainland, we will be able to maximize its power. That can allow the ancient Yu clan to have another great leap. Yu Tun was not reconciled to retreat. How dare you? The clan master has given the order. We need to retreat within 3 days. I'll go and look for the reincarnation of the spiritual abode and bring her out of the mainland. After rescuing our 3 princesses and 2 noble heirs, we can use the spiritual abode's reincarnation power and absorb all the lives on this land. The illusory voice shouted coldly. Yes, Yu Tong nodded after a while. He could not do anything besides following the order. Don't stay there anymore. Go back to the headquarters now. I'm in the south now, and I'll go look for the reincarnation of the spiritual abode. The black-eye disappeared. Ling Yen. You're really seeking your own death, Yu Tong sneered. Yu Tong's sight landed on Yi Qingtang. Since he was about to return to the central mainland, he should kill the leader of the Heaven City to mark the end of the Southern War. Swoosh! Yu Tong raised his sword and slashed towards Yi Qingtang's neck. Every member of the Yi family shouted in rage. However, before the sword landed, a blood-red figure suddenly appeared. A crisp ringing sound was heard. A man stood in front of Yi Qingtang expressionlessly. He used 2 of his fingers and held Yu Tong's sword. Oh, there's another powerful person. Yu Tong looked at the man in the blood-red robe and scorned. However, before he could finish his words, the man in the blood-red robe punched him. The punch was so fast that it was invisible to the naked eye. There was a huge boom, and Yu Tong's body was thrown out like a kite with a broken string. Ow! Blood spurted out of Yu Tong's mouth, and he had a shocked expression. The abilities of the man in the blood-red robe were so terrifying. Yu Tong returned after a while. He remained floating in the air and sized up the man from mid-air. Who are you? Come down. The Blood Moon Holy Lord raised his right arm. Before knowing what was going on, Yu Tong's body was pulled by an invisible hand. He could not maintain his balance anymore and fell hard onto the ground. However, some blood flew out of the Blood Moon Holy Lord's mouth. This body cannot make it anymore, the Blood Moon Holy Lord contemplated. This body was heavily injured after fighting against the demon god's body. If he could rest for a few months, he could recover. However, if he still tried to forcefully use the power in his body, the body might break into pieces. The Blood Moon Holy Lord did not even bother to look at Yu Tong. He turned and looked towards Yi Qingtang. There were some feelings that appeared in his cold eyes suddenly. He knew that it would be the best ending if Yi Qingtang died here after the land was conquered. Chapter 1207 Blood Battle 9 However, when the moment arrived, he did not know the reason why he could not control himself and saved her eventually. The illusion world that Yi Qingtang was in collapsed as Yu Tong was heavily injured. Yi Qingtang opened her eyes slowly, and a familiar but cold face appeared in front of her. Blood Moon. Bro. Brother. Yi Qingtang frowned slightly as she stared at the Blood Moon Holy Lord. Though she was stuck in the illusion world, she could sense what was going on in the outside world. If the Blood Moon Holy Lord did not save her just now, she would be dead under Yu Tong's sword. You. Since you want to kill me, why did you save me? Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Holy Lord and asked. However, the Blood Moon Holy Lord just stood there without any response. Some traces of complexity appeared in his emotionless eyes. Just as she had said, why did he save her? Even if that would cost him his body. I will kill you. But, you can only die in my hands. After a while, the Blood Moon Holy Lord looked at Yi Qingtang and said. Are you satisfied with the answer? He asked. Why do you want to kill me? Yi Qingtang could never understand that. Before the Blood Moon Holy Lord could say anything, Yu Tong shouted. Kill them. As Yutong finished his words, the remaining figures of the ancient Yu clan dashed towards the Blood Moon Holy Lord. The Blood Moon Holy Lord raised his right arm and waved his right hand downward. Moon extermination. A blood moon at the Blood Moon Holy Lord's glabella rotated slowly. The next second, under Yi Qingtang's surprised gaze, the few hundred figures of the ancient Yu clan were torn into pieces and disappeared like dust. Puff. After killing hundreds with one hand, the Blood Moon Holy Lord's face was pale, and a mouthful of blood spurted from his mouth. He stumbled and was about to fall. Yi Qingtang immediately went forward and held the Blood Moon Holy Lord. Brother. How's your injury? The Blood Moon Holy Lord felt the warmth from Yi Qingtang. He frowned slightly and asked, "Are you caring for me?" "Of course. Though I don't know why you want to kill me. But, you're my brother. We pledged under the sky before," Yi Qingtang said. "Is it?" The Blood Moon Holy Lord took a complex glimpse at Yi Qingtang. "Holy Fiend Extermination Eye!" Yutong suddenly shouted. His eyes rotated madly. A god fiend shadow appeared from the eyes. "I don't care who you are. Today, you will die here. This is a forbidden skill that runs with my life. You shall have a taste of that." Yutong looked at the Blood Moon Holy Lord in rage. "Back off." The Blood Moon Holy Lord pushed gently, but Yi Qingtang moved back around 10 meters from the little push. As Yi Qingtang moved back, a fog made of blood surrounded the Blood Moon Holy Lord and Yutong immediately. Around 15 minutes later, the fog faded. Yutong had become a pool of blood. The Blood Moon Holy Lord fell onto the ground with his clothes torn. He stared at the stars quietly with his indifferent eyes. Yi Qingtang's expression changed, and she ran over to the Blood Moon Holy Lord, trying to help him up. However, Yi Qingtang's hands went through his body, as if there was nothing there. This, Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Holy Lord in shock. Chapter 1208 Blood Battle 10 Brother. Are you the Heavenly Emperor? Is this body a duplicate? Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Holy Lord and said. Previously, she knew from the Blood Moon Elder that the Blood Moon Holy Lord was a duplicate of the Heavenly Emperor. However, Yi Qingtang did not know who the Heavenly Emperor was. The Blood Moon Holy Lord turned his head and looked at Yi Qingtang as he heard her voice. Do you want to know the truth? The Blood Moon Holy Lord asked softly. Yes. Yi Qingtang said. Okay, then stay alive. We'll meet again soon. And I'll tell you everything before I kill you. The Blood Moon Holy Lord raised his right arm, trying to touch Yi Qingtang's face. However, at the last moment, the Blood Moon Holy Lord's body became lustrous and disappeared. Spirit incarnation, Yi Qingtang showed a complicated expression as the Blood Moon Holy Lord disappeared. Spirit incarnations were very different from duplicates. The Blood Moon Elder was a duplicate that was not under the control of the main body. However, the spirit incarnation was totally controlled by the main body. When the incarnation died, the spirit power would return to the main body. Heavenly Emperor, Yi Qingtang mumbled. He had definitely reached the emperor level. Why would an emperor's spirit incarnation pledge with her and want to kill her, but eventually, save her? Qingtang, perfected Xianchen slightly recovered after a while. He stumbled towards Yi Qingtang. The few remaining disciples of the Yi family also followed. Eldest young lady, Daoist Zijin could not say anything as he looked at the hell in front of him. There were less than 100 people left in the Yi family. Yi Ling and a few other elders did not join the battle as their abilities were not up to the standard. Yi Qingtang clenched her fists and did not say anything as she stared at everyone of the Yi family. There were many tombs that appeared in the valley on the second day. Perfected Xianchen and Daoist Zijin followed Yi Qingtang and bowed towards the tombs. No one would know how many heroes were buried under the tombs here. They used their blood to protect this mainland. They did not give up even in the last moments of their lives. I, Yi Qingtang, swear here. As long as I am still alive, the ancient Yu clan will pay their price one day. With their blood. Yi Qingtang took out a dagger and made a deep cut on her arm under everyone's gaze. Eldest young lady. Taoist Zijin was shocked. As long as the ancient Yu clan is still alive, the scar will remain. Yi Qingtang said coldly. Yi Qingtang kneeled down as she finished her words. She kowtowed constantly towards the tombs until her forehead was injured and blood stained the ground. They'll pay back with their blood. They'll pay back with their blood. Everyone of the Yi family shouted together. Those who were buried under the tombs were all their siblings that they lived with in the past. All of them. The little white tiger stared at Yi Qingtang and sighed but did not say anything. Taoist Zijin walked to Elder Baikui's tomb. Tears ran down the old man's face even though he was more than 100 years old. Old friend. This time, I'll never see you again after you leave me. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.